Good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and our participants here today. Thank you for tuning into my short video. Today, I would like to share a bit some information about the admission criteria into top-notch universities. Okay, so the title of my talk today, right, is basically is on qualities for high-performing tertiary students. Okay, so as all of us are aware, the tertiary students are those people who have managed to gain admission into a degree program, right, or diploma program at least, in higher institutions. So in Malaysia, I'm working as a lecturer in University of Malaya, and I'm from the Faculty of Education, right? So in Malaysia, we have many students, right, year on year applying into both public and private universities, and this will actually constitute towards high competition, right, towards the course that they want. So here I would like to share with you some ideas about what are the preparations behind. Okay, but perhaps before I talk on that, I would like to share a bit about some perceptions of the students. Yeah. So now, when students applied for their tertiary education, okay, most of the common perceptions will be as the following. As you can see, they will first think like a university is just like another school, right? Just with more specification and specialization in knowledge, and a more flexible studying environment, right? So they have this concept of a university as a place where they can really grow to become a real adult, and they can choose to come for the lecture or not come for the lecture, because now they have full autonomy in how they live their life. All right. So in point number 2, you can also see that some of them enter university. It's a point where they are acknowledging themselves that they are now adults, and they are doing their parents proud, okay, for getting into a course that they want. And they also are hopeful that one day, when they graduate, they are able to land themselves in a very high-paying job one day, right? And there are also many other reasons why a student would like to pursue tertiary education. But the question will be, why do they want, or why do they wish, or why do they need to do this? Is it because of society pressures, or is it because of parental pressures, or maybe because they really understood what is the path before them, that lies before them? Okay, so in this next slide, I would like to indicate some of the things that will perhaps enlighten your perception. All right. First of all, it is important for us to know that a student who is trying to gain access into top universities, so I'm referring to maybe top 50 to top 500 universities in the world. All right. The first point is that the university is a place where it shapes the great minds of the future, as much as they are cultivating younger minds. All right. So we are in a progressive society. We are all contributing towards human development, right? Human civilization. So a university actually sets the place where students can understand the philosophies, right? Understanding the different philosophies of way of life, how cultures came about, and how human beings arrived to where they are today, right? Regardless of which field they are in, all right? And normally, the student will be an asset to the university, right? Because that explains why top universities would like to always screen for the students, look for their backgrounds, and choose the cream of the crop, because they know once they allow them to join their institution, they will be molded, or they will be prepared, okay, to be a professional, right? And this is the asset of the university in the long run. Well, students have to understand that when they also go into top universities, they will go through the process of how knowledge is created. Okay, and that's a big difference between higher education, right? Because once you reach the level of higher education, you are not just a consumer of knowledge, but you will actually learn how the professors or how the scientists or how the research is done to create knowledge in the field. All right, and eventually the knowledge will become the intellectual property, right, of both the university and the scientists. And a university is the place where they accept students that will empower them one day to become a torchbearer, right? So, I mean, this is, unless if you're talking about a university that is like a education mill, just giving up degrees, then it doesn't serve a full purpose. But enrolling herself or himself into a top university, they will understand the fact that they are empowered to become a torchbearer one day. And whatever they do best in the field, they have to contribute back to the society towards the betterment of human civilization. Okay, and other points will include that the university is the place where products and services are invented, tested, and patented before they reach the marketplace. Well, this is known, right? Because without knowledge discovery, there will not be new products and services in the market. So this is where scientists will discover new knowledge through research and find new solutions for human problems in various fields of research, like medicine, engineering, history, and things like that. So the university is obviously not a place where knowledge is recycled, right? And because of this feature, it is important for the child, for the student to know how to conduct research, how to have critical analysis on the information that they get, how to have critical evaluation, proceed on to writing publications, and eventually disseminating the great ideas to the general public. So a university is a place where great minds gather, right? And it has to be translated for other people to understand, so that they can apply into their own context and solving problems. So therefore, behind every knowledge gain, there is information and data created or access. Okay, so now a student who is trying to gain access to top university must understand these facts. Number one, what are they studying? Okay, they are required to test for themselves if the information is true, applicable, and real to their own lived experience, right? So this is where critical thinking is again concerned, right? So a child who is better prepared for higher education, they will acknowledge their own critical thinking in their own voice, in understanding how to break a problem into smaller parts, and how does this part actually relate to one to another. So that involves thinking and maturity. So number two, they have to share their perspective, their understanding, and also what they believe is true, all right, if their perception is different than the rest. So this is where communication comes in, right? A child or a student who is better prepared for tertiary education normally will have to gain a lot of confidence in their efficacy, right, or efficacy, to learn how to communicate their ideas, their feelings, and their beliefs towards what they see or what they feel, right, with others. Okay, and a university is also a place where great minds, as I mentioned earlier, they meet, they talk, and they reshape the level of understanding about human civilization. The question would be, does the student, okay, have what it takes to become a tertiary student? This is always the question, right? If your perception is not to that level, then the child will probably think it's okay to just go for a tertiary education. But if the expectation is higher than what they perceive is supposed to be, then they may have struggled. They may have some learning gaps that may need to be focused on. Yeah. So the preparations behind the application into the top university, the competition that may arise, and the hopes to gain into these top universities are very, very important. All right. So you have to, as parents, as teachers, we have to understand that shaping a child's mind and leading them towards this level of thinking would be very important. So here I'll present a few questions that universities would like to ask the students during their final selection stage. Right. So in my university, we also have interviews for master's level, for degree levels. If these courses are very competitive, then there is a need to have interview. So some of the questions that mainly they ask would be, why do you want to choose to study in your chosen subject? So if you can see from here, there are varying answers that the student can give. But normally, what I suggest is the child has to be thoroughly prepared to give an answer that is honest, to give this answer that is informative, and to give an answer that really reflects what the person, he or she, really wants to do. Okay, because when he or she answers this question, right, the interviewer will look at both the verbal and the non-verbal expressions of the child, you see. So that would be one of the questions. Another favorite question would be, why do you choose to enter this university? So again, this involves some preparation or background checks about the university that they plan to go into. Perhaps that university is famous for that course the child is applying, or perhaps that university has been around and is able to impact the society profoundly in the field of research. So there are many reasons why they will ask these questions, and they will want to hear from he or she who is applying for that course. Okay, and again, they will ask a bit about the past. They will ask a bit about the STPM, the A-Levels, or the IB. So they will ask you about which part of it is the toughest, because from here they would like to assess whether that the challenge that he or she faced is worthy enough or not. Because for that, they will also try to gauge whether you are able to adapt to the same challenge or even more. So normally, how you answer this, right? It is both. It's also like a job interview, right? Because an employer would like to ask the potential employee, what was the toughest thing that you did in the last job? Because from that, they will assess whether you are able to, you will resort to the same coping style, or probably you will leave the organization if suppose this challenge is presented before you, right? So these are the things that you can foresee. And again, here they are asking about the biggest achievement. They want to know about the drive, right? What have you done? What do you consider yourself proud? Training a child to really acknowledge his achievement and to also acknowledge his failures are both important, right? We don't want a child to just be proud about his achievement, but at the same time could not accept failure if suppose his plans fail, right? So both they will be asking. Okay, and here are some other questions that interviewers like to ask, like for example, how you feel, what can you bring to the university, what are the main interests outside education. Here they would like to just get to know you and look at your style of communication, how you articulate your ideas, how you present yourself as a potential asset to them, and things like that. Okay? Alright, so in conclusion, right, preparation is the key for successful applications to top universities. And as I believe, a good quality education the child has to at least result in 4 important areas. A child has to be a critical thinker, meaning a child must be able to break down, look at the problems, the complicated problems or complex problems, and break it down to small pieces to find out the cause of the problem, and creatively think how to solve that problem. And collaboratively means the ability to work with other people. So here they will also look at the co-curriculum, the involvement of class and societies to see how a child actually improve or stand on his own while working with the society. Okay, and finally it will be communication. So the earlier the child prepared, the better it is to seize the opportunity. It's true. And finding a good support system and process to get there is very important. So parents are, of course, they are, besides just preparing for the funds for the tertiary education, a parent will also be concerned what kind of support system the child will get once the child enters the university, right? Because some children may not be able to adapt to the environment and they face problems, especially in times of COVID, right? So when there are situations where students, they are stranded in the university and they couldn't have social learning, they have to be based on learning from the dorms, so they have challenges in the mental health. So things like that. So we suppose this thing were to happen, what kind of support system will there be for the kid, right? Even before getting there and also during, okay, being there. So knowing the criteria of admission, the quality of results to achieve, and getting ready mentally, emotionally, and physically is very important. That's what I mentioned. Okay, so it's important for the child or parents, if we can, find an alumni to better understand what is it to what are the requirements, so that it will provide information to improve the competitive advantage to succeed in the application. Right. So that's it for my sharing, and I hope that all of you can benefit in this short talk. So thank you for your attention, and if there's any question, you can contact the organizer and I shall be able to be reached by my email that he can provide to you. Thank you and have a good day.
Good morning to all. I'm Ann Lim, your host for today. The webinar will begin soon. We would like to remind everyone to keep your microphone muted throughout the session. Should you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box, and our consultants will be on standby to answer them. Thank you. Welcome to our virtual talk show on the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program, Future Proof, a Cut Above the Rest. With me today is Dr. Vincent, who is the principal of Fairview International School, Kuala Lumpur. He will be sharing everything you need to know about IBDP, and later on, you will get to participate in an interesting biology mock class with Dr. Gurdeep to get a feel of what it's like to be an IBDP student. Without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Vincent.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much, Anne. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Ying, and thanks again for the opportunity to share this. So again, if you have any questions, Louise and Ninja, just type it over in the chat box and we'll get back to you about it. The more questions you have, the better I can fine-tune this for both of yourselves. All right. So I'm just going to get right to it. So my name is Dr. Vincent Chiang. I'm the principal here at Fairview International School, and I used to run the IB Diploma Program many years ago as the diploma coordinator. So I know quite a lot about the diploma, and I'm going to share with you all the important things about it. Okay. So the structure of this presentation is going to go along the lines of these questions here. So what is it first? Why pursue it? Why do it at Fairview? And then how do you do it at Fairview? This is a classic way that we do things, the who, what, when, where, why, 7-question structure. And this is part of how we teach as well. So you find out a little bit more in a bit. So this is the diploma program. This is the image that draws out everything about the diploma program. It's a big picture and lots of words, but it's very easy to understand. Essentially, take a look at the words inside there. It says studies in language and literature, individuals and societies, mathematics, arts, sciences, and language acquisition. These are what we call 6 groups. And every IB Diploma student takes 6 subjects in one of each of these groups. So you have a nice, well-balanced subject choice. Then you'll have 3 extra subjects called Theory of Knowledge, Extended Essay, and then Creativity, Action, and Series. Now, these 3 are compulsory things that every student has to do, and I'll talk you through a little bit more about it. So that's a little bit of a brief of the whole thing, so you can understand it really fast. And I'll give you some real hard facts about the IB Diploma. Okay, so here are some of the IB Diploma facts, and they're very hard. This is really at the core of the IB Diploma. So once you start understanding this, you really understand a lot about the diploma program. First of all, it's a 2-year pre-U program, similar to the A-Levels, similar to the Canadian pre-U, similar to the South Australian matriculation program. The next thing is really important is that it's a very holistically approaching sort of program. You heard one of the students talking about it in the testimonial. It doesn't focus on just passing an exam to get you through an exam and into university. It really tries to prepare you for life rather than just for university. And I think that's really a big thing that all of us should be asking ourselves when we consider what do we do for education. How do we educate ourselves? Do you simply go to a program to get through an exam to jump to the next step? Is that really what it's all about? Joining the rat race and just going from exam to exam to exam? I think there's a little bit more than that. And you'll find that the IB Diploma prepares you much better because it focuses on life rather than exams. Now, it's not affiliated with any one country. So it's not British, not American, not Canadian or Australian. And so it's truly international. The next important thing is that there is no grade inflation happening with the IB Diploma. So what do I mean by that? So many years ago, in the 1980s, the proportion of kids that got A's in the A-Levels was something around 15%. Today, it's more like 60% of people get A's, which means the value of an A has significantly gone down over the years because everybody's getting it. Unfortunately, when this happens, what does this mean to you? Your A will be worth less and less and less as time goes on because so many people are being given A's, like Smarties now. It's not really worth too much anymore. And I'll show you what impact that has on university admissions. So my next point was that it's recognized across the world as a preferred pre-university program. This is a very bold claim. And the claim is, if you have an IB Diploma and if you have any other pre-U program, the IB Diploma is going to open more doors better for you than any other program out there. And I'll back this up with facts and statistics in a bit. The next point, it costs a lot. In Malaysia, it costs about 130,000 ringgit plus. And that's just the bottom line. You know, there's more things that you have to add on to that 130,000. Unfortunately, the IB Diploma is so good, it's difficult to implement it. So a lot of places charge a lot of money for it. But you're going to find at Fairview, the average student pays something closer to about 40 to 50,000. It's broad-based, so 6 subjects instead of 3, and then CAS, EE, and COK, as I've shared, are compulsory. All right. Now, these are the subjects that we offer in August of 2021. And it's important to recognize that each school is going to have a different combination of subjects. Most of the time, the way you need to look at it is take a look at the streams of where you want to go, or roughly what you want to do. And then what we do in the diploma program is when you come and say, I'd like to do the program, we'll say, okay, let's take a look at the rough 2 or 3 things that you want to do, and we'll work your subject combination in such a way that it works for you to go to university. Each university typically has 1 or 2 subjects they really want you to take. So it's a matter of combining the 6 subjects so that you have as many doors open as possible. So it's very easy for us to prepare a student who wants to go to engineering, to journalism, and perhaps some biochemistry as well. So this is an example of the common pathways, and this is a document actually. And this is the process that we coach all of our students when they first come in. You will definitely be coached on your subject list when you come in. Okay. I'll share with you about the 3 really important things that happen in the diploma program. It's really important. The first is called CAS, and the concept of CAS really is about creativity, action, and service. So you have to spend time in 3 different kinds of activities. 1, something that involves creative thinking to get your creative juices going. Not like the A-Levels where you just spend all your time memorizing things out of a textbook, turning yourself into a nerd who doesn't know anything beyond memorizing more and more exam questions. The next thing you'll have to do is do something active. Play some basketball, go running. Whichever one you do, it's totally fine. As long as it's got some physical exertion, get your body trained up there as well. And finally, service. And this is an unpaid and voluntary exchange that has a learning benefit for our student. It's how you give back to society. And we strongly believe that in giving, in serving others, you really find who you are. The next important component is called the extended essay. And the extended essay really is an opportunity for you to explore what you want to do. And why is this important for you? Two reasons. One, for most learners, all of their life, they've been told what to do, what exam paper to memorize, what books to read, what to learn, what to study. They never get a choice. You never get to choose what you want to explore. And even if you want to, they'll say, do it outside of school, because in school, you do what we want you to do. Well, this actually turns everything upside down and gives everything to the student and says, look, if you're interested in something, go and find out more about it. Do some research and investigate about this and explore your passions. All of us talk a lot about the words, find your passion, find your interest, explore it. This is a formal, structured way which the IB Diploma helps its students explore and find their passions. And when our students are done with the extended essay, they clutch it to their chest, and it's more valuable than life itself when they're finished with it. Right, Dave? You've seen our students. This piece of work is so precious because they poured their heart and soul into it. And for once, it is officially part of the education system. It is absolutely wonderful. The second reason is when you go to university, and let's just say you want to be a doctor, like I'm actually a medical doctor. So you go to university and you say, hey, dear uni, I really want to be a doctor. And they'll ask you, well, how have you done anything to show that you want to be a doctor? Well, you'll pull out this research paper, this extended essay, and say, look, sir, I did this investigation about how UV light can sterilize surfaces and its effect based on the range of the wand. And I did all of this research as part of my extended essay. It's a 4,000-word essay, and it's got all of this academic writing. The university is going to open its eyes and say, wow, this guy is really interested in becoming a doctor. I want this person. And that's why it's so incredibly powerful. The third reason why it's so good, the IB Diploma, is the theory of knowledge. This is probably the crowning jewel of the IB. So if there's something you need to listen to, this is the most important one of all. First of all, the theory of knowledge, TOK we call it, is a 1 hour, 20-minute session that you have every week of your program. It's 1 hour and 20 minutes of students arguing out what is the basis of knowledge. Do we really know what we know? That's the essential question. For example, if you take a look at the color of my shirt and I ask you what is it, then you may say it's blue. And I'll ask you, how do you know it's blue? How do you connect the color blue from your eyes to the word blue? Why is it blue, B-L-U-E? Can't I call it blingin' bling? What's wrong with that? And the thing is, once you start understanding that actually somebody invented the word blue, why does it have to be called blue? Why can't it be called bling-a-bling? Is that wrong? Is either wrong? Once you start understanding that almost everything you know has a degree of inaccuracy and uncertainty in it, then our students really get to understand how small we are in this great world of knowledge and how frail all of knowledge is. And as time progresses and they grapple with this uncertainty, they realize everything they think they know has a degree of uncertainty. Over time, when they keep on massaging this concept, they will eventually be able to walk forward in life, to thrive in the uncertainty of life. TOK doesn't just develop some head knowledge and logical and argument skills in people. It develops wisdom and maturity. And this I have never seen happen in any other program in any place in the world. So this theory of knowledge is absolutely marvelous. And you'll only find this subject in the IB Diploma. It does not have an equivalent in the A-Levels or any program. It's not philosophy, it's not epistemology, it's not general paper. They're all very different. Okay, so with that, I'm going to give you a quick and dirty rundown of the difference between the IB Diploma and A-Levels, because most people really know about the A-Levels, and unfortunately, we're all just learning about the IB Diploma. So the IB Diploma prepares you for life, but the A-Levels really prepares you for exams. When you go in there, one of the first things they'll do is they'll give you a past year exam paper stack and say, go memorize that. And that's how most people get good scores. The IB Diploma has good critical thinking developed. The question are higher order Bloom's questions. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to show you, I'm going to jump all the way to the end to show you something about what does higher order thinking mean. So sorry, just give me 1 second to jump. There we go. Okay, so this is what we call Bloom's taxonomy. It's a list of words and arranged in a pyramid. At the bottom of this pyramid, you'll find words like list, find, name, identify. These are really dumb words. These are question words that if you find them in a question, you probably could memorize the answer. And that's typically where most of the A-level questions are coming from, the CIE questions, in the remembering and understanding section. As you go up the chart, you can find that the question words like make a chart, solve, apply, and then we go higher up to criticize, design, build, invent, categorize, examine. Those words at the top of the pyramid, those are what we call higher order thinking questions. So words at the bottom of this pyramid don't really use your brain too much. They don't require much thinking at all. Words at the top of this pyramid require lots of thinking and creativity. The IB Diploma uses words at the top of the pyramid, not at the bottom, because it wants you to use your brain, not memorize and regurgitate facts. And that's one of the big reasons why the IB Diploma is found as challenging by some, because most people are so used to memorizing that the moment they're confronted with any logical thought, they fall apart. And sadly, it's not your fault. But that's the way the systems have been built all through your life, going from secondary school all the way up. And you're all a victim of this exam memorization culture. Don't you want to be more? Don't you want to be an intelligent, thinking adult? Well, this Bloom's taxonomy is one of the first stages to that. Stop memorizing. Let go of that past that you know of. Sure, it's comfortable to memorize and get good A's, but are you really just lying to yourself? We all know how much of a lie that is, and the worst one to lie to is really yourself when you do that. The next important thing about the IB Diploma is the EE, which I've shared with you already, that thesis writing, that writing of the extended essay. Universities absolutely love it. Theory of knowledge that develops maturity and wisdom, and university recognition in the IB Diploma is outstanding, with no grade inflation when compared to the A-levels, with terrible grade inflation and just okay university recognition. The IB Diploma is also broad-based with 6 subjects, but the A-levels focuses you too early. I hear a lot of people telling me something like this, saying, oh, I heard that if you know what you're going to do, go and do the A-levels. And then I always respond, I have never met a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old who knows what he wants to do. What are you doing? Why are you pretending like you know what you're going to do and then narrowing yourself and locking away all of your options and going to do that? Right now, you are so young. There are so many doors open for you. Don't narrow yourself when you have so many opportunities in life. Keep yourself broad. Learn lots of stuff. There will be things that you'll find out that you really enjoy later on. Narrowing is not, this is not the right time to narrow yourself. I mean, even at 39, I still think, I don't know what I'm going to do. How do you know what you're going to do at 18? That's crazy talk. And so stay broad. And that's why I think it's wonderful to take the IB Diploma and keep that broad perspective. Now, the other thing, people ask about exam and coursework. I'm showing you that the IB Diploma and A-Levels both have a very similar breakdown between the exam and coursework. So one's 80-20 and the other 75-25. And finally, the IB Diploma develops 21st century skills much better. And there's lots of evidence for this. I'm not going to go into that one because it's just too much evidence. Okay, but I'm going to move on quickly because I understand time is progressing. Okay, why pursue it? Let's go for the big reason why bother doing it at all. Everybody wants to get to university, so I'll show you why the IB Diploma is one of the best ways to get to university. First thing, compared to the A-levels, the IB Diploma is more recognized than the A-levels in the UK. Now, if anybody's listening, this is an extremely bold statement. that should take you off guard. And wait a second, the A-Levels was made in the UK, and the IB Diploma is more recognized than the A-Levels in the UK. Are you kidding me? That doesn't make any sense at all. Now, I have a link down here called the HESA study. And the HESA study was an independent study done by the UK government to find out about universities and their acceptance of students from all walks of life. Not just the IB Diploma or the A-Levels, but many places like the French Baccalaureate and the STPM even. And this chart tells us everything we need to know. A big statement coming out here, and I'll tell it to you. You see the IB Diploma, the purple section, that says 40%, and the top here saying top 20 HEPs. Top 20 HEPs translated means top 20 higher education providers. That means universities for short. So IB students, 40% of the IB students get to the top 20 universities in the UK. This, and compare that to the A-Levels. 23% of the A-level students get to the top 20 universities in the UK. IB students get to the top 20 universities at almost double the rate of A-level students. Now, what does that tell you? That's crazy talk. What's going on over here? Next, IB students, see this first class honors? That's like the distinction in the university. IB students get more distinctions than A-level students. They get less second class honors because obviously more of them are in the first class honors. That's like the ultimate class, right? By the way, that's like the distinction category. And my favorite section of all, IB students have a median of 21,000 compared to A-level students when they graduate. So what does this mean? IB students, when they graduate, earn more money than A-level students as well. That's, I think, a bit of a nail in the coffin. So one, IB students get to the top 20 universities better. Two, IB students score better when they get to those universities. And three, IB students earn more money than A-level students when they come out of university as well. I think those three are terrifying for any A-level student. But I'm going to put an even worse situation for the A-level student. This is a link to the Ucas Tariff table. So this is the way that the UK says, let's convert all of the pre-university qualifications into something sensible, a number, so that we can equivocate them, make them equal, and compare them so that we can get them into our universities. So they converted every qualification into numbers, including their own A-levels, SAM, Canadian, all of them. Now, according to the Ucas, 3 A's is equivalent to 48 times 3, because each A is worth 48 points, 144 points. And this is a very important number, because that's pretty much the highest that most people are ever going to get. And anybody can take a look at the website at any point. Just type Ucas Tariff table into the Google and you'll find it. Totally easy. This is a snapshot from the website, and as you can see, an A is 48 points. So 3 A's is about 144 points. Okay. Now, what about the IB Diploma? Remember, in the IB, you're going to take 6 subjects, huh? So you're going to take subjects at what we call a higher level, 3 subjects there, and then 3 subjects in a standard level. Standard level is basically half of a higher level to consider all aspects. So you see the H6, that's 58 points. Now, a 6 is what we call a B. Okay, it's about a B compared to an A, which looks like a 7 for us in the IB. So you can already see there's going to be a problem because our A's are worth more now. For the standard level subjects, they're worth half. So where you can see the higher level subject gets 48 for a H6. H6 means I scored a 6 or a B in my higher level subject. And if I score a B in my standard level subject, I'll get 24 points. The other 3 subjects, TOK, CAS, and EE, also given points. And here you can see how they get points as well. So they get a small amount of points. Now, to make your life easy, this is what it means, okay? A score of 30 in the IB Diploma, which is really just a pass mark. So how do you get 30? Take 6 subjects and multiply by 5. 5 is like a D. Okay, so that's a terrible score. That has a Ucas value of 144. I basically took the 5s and added it up using the Ucas Tariff tables. And as you can see, that's equivalent to an A-level score of 144. Now, if you look at this very carefully, you understand this, you can see that the A-level student has a big problem already. Because how many people score 3 A's? Not that many. And how many people score the pass mark in the IB Diploma? Way more. If you push that up to 34 points, now we can see it's worth 220 points, and that's the same value as 4 A stars. I think we have a problem now for the A-level student because nobody gets more than 4 A stars. And if we go up to 36, that's worth 236 points. Compared to the 4 A stars of 260, the A-level student cannot beat the IB student after a score of 35. It's just not possible anymore. Fairview's average, 37.3, which means my average student beats the A-level student by a mile. The average student beats the best A-level student by 20 points on the Ucas table, 20 whole points. Now, this is just another table to describe what I've showed you already. And this is our scores for the last couple of years. As you can see, we had a little bit of a dip last year, but we've held our scores pretty decently, and we did really well this year because we had a super push. Now, according to, I've already shared with you the HESA research. Now, American. Some of us don't want to go to the UK, we want to go to the US. There are some statements that are coming in from the US, and I'm going to show you why this is so important. This is the director of admissions at Harvard University, and they have never said anything good about anybody else before. The only ones they have made such a strong statement: success and an IB program correlates well with success at Harvard. We're always pleased to see the credentials of the IB diploma in the transcript. Nobody says that. Harvard will not say that about anybody else except the IB program. They have never said such things. On top of that, Duke University, another Ivy League university, has such a strong, powerful statement here. We know the quality and we think the IB curriculum is terrific. It's not just we like it, it's good. This is outstanding. This is fantastic. US universities absolutely love the IB diploma. And in fact, in many of the universities, they'll waive your first year off altogether because you learn so much in the IB that you really don't need to do the first year of their university anymore. That's how good it is. That's how well recognized it is in the US. And Canadian programs, okay, it's very well recognized in Canada. One study shows that so the Canadians have what they call a Canadian program, okay? And the University of British Columbia have their secondary school diplomas. And what they're basically trying to say is an IB student with a score of 27. Now remember, 30 is our pass mark, so 27 is even lower than our pass mark. A student with a score of 27 performs at the same level in the first year university exams as a British Columbia student who came in with an 86% admission average. So if you did the British Columbia secondary school diploma and you had an 86% over there, that's equivalent to a 27, a fail in the IB diploma. And that's why UBC absolutely loves the IB. In Australia, I don't have proper statistics for you because unfortunately nobody did them, but they also love the IB diploma over there. It is very, very popular in Australia. Now, so what do we need to know about how to do it in Fairview now that you've heard all of this? This is my former IB diploma program in Chiang Mai when we could travel. Unfortunately, we haven't managed to travel for a little bit, but when we could travel, it was absolutely outstanding. And this was my batch of students. Now, recently we won a magnificent award at Fairview. We are the highest in Malaysia. So this certificate came from ibschools.com. And they said that we are a top 50 IB global school. We were 50 best. We are amongst the 50 best in the world. The top IB school in Malaysia, and a top IB school by average IB diploma points in 2020. We are actually number 48 in the world. This is our leadership. Miss Evan is our IB diploma coordinator, and I'm the principal with her. Now, if you wanted to hear some testimonials, jump over to the website and go and listen to them yourself. These are all students of ours doing really, really well. And in fact, one of the students that you saw just now, I think you go take a look at Ryan Tan. He's really interesting because he only came to me 2 years ago in Fairview, and he didn't know any English when he first started with us. And then today, he's now a top scorer in the world. Wow. So I'm going to jump a little bit. These are some of the university acceptances all the way from our start up to 2017. There's tons of places, but all I wanted to show you was all the universities on the right are good universities that are very challenging to get to. And most of my students, at least 80% of them, would be getting there with a scholarship as well, because their scores were that well recognized. Now, how do you pursue the IB Diploma at Fairview? The IB Diploma is a very expensive program. I told you it's about 130,000 ringgit on average for the 2 years. And very often, unfortunately, parents have to pay through their nose just to get their children through such a good program. But here at Fairview, we're doing something a little different. The average fee for 2 years of the IB Diploma at Fairview that each student pays is about 51,000. Compare that to 112,000. The range starts at 90,000 all the way to 180,000 ringgit for the 2 years. And you can see that there's something different happening over here. And in Fairview, we're the only IB Diploma program with a merit-based inclusive scholarship on entry. On entry means everybody gets a scholarship regardless. You're automatically entitled to get this scholarship. And it increases with the learner's performance in the program. Okay, so John, because you're an MYP student, sorry if you don't mind if I use you as an example. Okay, John? Thanks. Okay, so if you get a 6 in your MYP or an A or an A star, then you get what we call 1 credit. Now this needs to be in a subject that you're going to take. So let's say you get a 6 in English in your MYP or your A-Levels, then I'll say, okay, I'll give you a credit for English in the IB Diploma. Now, I'm going to tell you what a credit means. A credit is worth money. Now, but the only thing is sometimes we don't do very well at Form 5 or Year 11. And, you know, we work really hard in the IB Diploma program and we score an A, which is a 7. You'll get a credit in that subject as well when you do that. Now, what do these credits actually mean? So remember, there's one way to get a credit, which is work hard in your Year 11, work hard in your O-Levels, work hard first. And that's actually the easier way to do it. And then to get extra credits, you need to score an A in it. So the idea, work hard first, get your credit in, because keeping your credit only requires a B. Whereas if you don't get it, and then you're trying to earn it, you need to get an A to get your credit, but you can have it. And I've had lots of students who have increased their scholarships by doing that. What does a credit mean? Now, per semester, which means every 6 months, each credit that you have in a HL subject is worth $3,300 in terms of scholarship. So let's say you have an English, a 6 in your MYP English. Congratulations, you just got yourself $3,300 in scholarship every 6 months. Nobody else does this except us. Now the SL subjects are worth a bit less, but yeah, they're worth quite a lot still, and that's quite a lot of money. Now the whole tuition fees, as you can see, are broken up into 2 parts, the facility fees and the tuition fees. And the facility fees are really the overheads, and the tuition fees are the remainder. Now the full scholarship covers the tuition fees, and if anybody has a challenge covering the remainder, they can apply for financial assistance with the school. And we have lots of students who have come in and had lots of financial assistance as well. Okay, and if I do, okay, so yeah, let me take you on. Okay, so that's pretty much all about the IB Diploma. Any questions from anybody? Thank you very much for listening. That was quite a long monologue, and I really appreciate that you gave us your effort. Gave us your attention all that time. Any questions at all? John, you got anything to ask?
None from me.
You already know all of this, don't you, John?
I had a huge discussion with my parents, so yeah.
That's totally fine. I know your dad as well. I know what he's up to.
Dr. Vincent,
Yes.
there's a question from Lynn.
Yes.
She's asking, what's the difference between IB course and IB diploma?
Oh, right. You saw the word IB courses, isn't it? Okay. The IB courses is essentially when you don't do the full diploma. So remember when I said just now, to do the diploma, you need to take 6 subjects. Well, sometimes some students say, I can't really manage all 6 subjects. I'd like to do 4 or 3. So anytime that you take less than the full diploma, they call that IB courses. That's essentially it. All of our students do the full IB diploma at Fairview. They don't come in and start with the IB courses. Thank you very much.
Lynn also asked, where does IGB rank compared to Fairview?
So I know Miss Anne Fowles, who is the principal over at IGB. I know her very well. We work on the same association together. And I'm not going to comment on anything with regards to IGB, but what you need to do to find out about how well an IB program is doing is ask the coordinator, what was your class average? Now, the class average is far more important than the top score, because only a few people get top scores, and many schools have a method of saying, oh, we're going to get this super smart scholarship student, and therefore we have an amazing top score. Well, I'm sorry, that doesn't really talk about the quality of your program there. The average score really is a good indicator for how the average student does, and it's a far stronger way of doing it. So go and ask IGB what their score is as well. And while you're at it, go and ask everybody what their average score is. And what you'll find is that Fairview's IB Diploma score is the highest in Malaysia right now. Okay. So there are a couple of other questions.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Question from Luis. What is the % of students joining Fairview for the IB Diploma? What is the nationality breakdown of students at Fairview?
I don't have the nationality breakdown statistic off the top of my head. Really sorry about that. But percentage of students joining Fairview for the IB Diploma, I'm not sure how to answer that question, because if they join the IB Diploma for Fairview, then it's 100%. Maybe I'll try maybe answer a slightly different question, unless you want to reword that question and put it into the chat group, Louise. About 80% of our IB Diploma students are Fairview students. And then a further 20% of the students actually come from the outside. As you heard in the testimonial, there'll be students coming from SPM and other O-level schools as well. And then they'll come and join our IB Diploma program. We get students from overseas all the time. We get students from other international schools. It's quite a varied mix, actually. Right. Any other questions at all?
Yeah, I have another question, Lynn here.
Hi.
I know that there may be many students that are coming from MYP program and any other programs, and then they come to IB Diploma. So I think because IB Diploma format is slightly different, so how would these students actually adjust to the IB Diploma program during the 2 years?
Thanks for that, Lynn. That's a very important question. Like I shared with you, unfortunately, the 11 years of education that many of us receive is very, very flawed. Many students who are coming in from SPM or IGCSE programs or Cambridge level programs, they built up a really, really bad habit. And there's a couple of them that really cause problems. One is they only study what they're told to study. So if you don't tell them to read pages 26 to 34, they don't know what to study. And if you don't give them just one textbook to learn from, they don't know how to learn either. So while education has improved over the years, we've also developed some really nasty habits, like only learn everything out of this one book. And that's totally wrong. Because in life, nobody's going to give you a handbook of life and tell you read only from that book. It doesn't work that way. So the first bad habit. The second bad habit is, I remember a student who came up to me and said, sir, you have really bad teachers. And I said, why? I said, well, the teacher teacher did not do a revision session where the questions came out in the exam. I was like, well, that's not a revision session, that's a cheat session. No. But all good schools do that. They run a revision session and then the stuff from the revision turns up in the exam, or at least gives us hints. And I was staring at this person. Why would you want anybody to do that and help you cheat? That's essentially cheating, isn't it? And this is a classic example of a problem that's developed in our psyche. We expect past year papers where we memorize the answers ahead of time. You're lying to yourself. Why would you do that? The students expect revision sessions where the questions that are asked at revision are really hints for the exam. Why would you do that? And these bad habits set into our kids. Can you imagine what happens later on in life? Hey, boss, I'm going to do a presentation. Can I see the last presentation so I can memorize that and do it to this customer? The boss will fire you on the spot. It's crazy. And finally, the biggest bad habit of all, lower order thinking questions. Like I shared with you about Bloom's taxonomy, normal traditional students, they're really used to memorizing answers. And the moment you hit them with anything more than apply, they completely go to pieces. Now, these three problems are very, very big problems that affect all of our society right now. I receive a lot of IGCSE students, SPM students, and typically it takes them about 6 months before we can change their way of thinking and help them adapt into the Ib Diploma program. So you heard one of the testimonials from one of our students, a great SPM student. He said he had an adjustment period as well. All external students, apart from NYC students, have an adjustment period. And that's learning how to learn without memorizing only one text, learning how to use your brain instead of memorizing and regurgitating answers from before, and finally, learning how to revise when the exam questions are not hinted at you during a revision session. These are three of the biggest problems that our students have to overcome. And thankfully, we're getting very good at helping our students overcome, but unfortunately, it still takes about 6 months before a student fully makes the swing. But when they do, they become a very different sort of student. They become a very different learner because they've now prepared for life, not just an exam. I hope that helped you, Lynn. That's the best way I could probably describe it.
Yeah, okay. So usually the teachers will guide them. They will get personal attention or something like that.
Well, then the first thing is to help them understand you're not abnormal. So let's just say John came in from O-level class where he's learned to memorize all his life. Gurdev is one of our teachers here, and you can see him. Could you just give us a wave, Gurdev?
Yes, for sure. Usually what happens is that I'll make them, feel comfortable in my classroom, allowing them to be, provide a safe space for them to share their thoughts so that I can intervene and I can guide them. That's how basically I'll conduct in the first 6 to 7 months, because it's absolutely fine to feel, lost, absolutely fine that everything suddenly it's very overwhelming. I'll help to break it down for them and then guide them step by step and then follow through. Because in Fairview Pre-University program, we developed this concept called family, so no one is left behind. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I love two things that you said over there, which is one, safety and help them feel normal. And really want to reiterate that it's important to create that safe space. A lot of things that we do, like in the Theory of Knowledge program, require students to give their raw feelings about certain subjects, and you can never succeed at that if the student doesn't feel safe. And that's one of the core principles about family, really. I didn't mention this at all, but thank you very much, Gurdev, for bringing it up. What we tend to find, and we learned this through experience, is that the number one determinant of whether a student does well at the Ib Diploma wasn't necessarily how many exam papers he memorized, or having a Quilo teacher, or so on and so forth. It was, does the student feel like he's got people he can depend on that will not let him down? People that he can laugh with, cry with, work with, fight with. And that's family. And creating that family environment was really, really important for us because we knew how powerful its impact was. When you go to a school to find out about them, there's a couple of things you can find out. The first is the class average, but another one that's a little bit more special. Not many people know how to look for it is, can you tell us about the culture at your program? And if they can articulate that to you very well, then you'll know that they're running something far deeper than a memorization workshop. All right, Lee?
Okay, thanks for that. One more question, if you don't mind. How are your teachers being trained to deliver the IB program?
So, all the IB Diploma teachers need to go through what we call a certificate, a workshop under the IB. Actually, I'll start with the basics. All the teachers in our IB Diploma program have to have the correct qualifications in order to teach. That's the first step. And then the second step is we need to observe them to see whether they can teach properly. Inside the school, we have quite a vigorous training program. And we also have a lot of checks about whether our teachers teach really well. In fact, we have something really amazing, and John knows about this, called the 7 C's, where the students give the teachers feedback about their teaching. I don't think you'd find this in any school in Malaysia at all. So the teachers teach, and then the students tell the teacher, look, I like the way you teach, or I don't like the way you teach. And the teachers get this feedback every 6 months. And Gudev, I believe, was one of our top scorers in 2 semesters ago, if I'm not mistaken, right, Gudev?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So we know that our teachers can teach because we observe the results, both from another experienced teacher watching the teacher and from the student's point of view. And that's just the basics. On top of that, the IB will then say, look, you are not allowed to be a IB diploma teacher if you haven't done the IB workshop. So then the school needs to send our teachers to do these workshops with the IB to then get the IB certificate. But frankly, getting an IB certificate is a small deal by comparison. The most important thing to know whether a teacher can teach is the output, the person that is receiving that teaching. Do they like and do they enjoy that learning process? And that would be students like John, who shares their feedback with the teachers. Say, I like, you don't do enough discussion. You're not clear enough, but you are very caring. So this feedback then powers the teacher to be able to adjust the way that they teach to really serve the needs of our students in the way that they need to be served, not the way that the teacher thinks he should teach. I hope that helps, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
No
Thank you,
worries at
Dr.
all.
Vincent, for the great sharing.